Hi, my dear lovely students. How are you? Welcome to the session. So, in this class, we are going to learn about a very interesting concept called modifiers. So, when we talk about error based questions, modifiers are the questions which are very frequently tested. A very interesting and absolutely, fun concept that you're thoroughly going to enjoy. So, when we talk about grammar, usually students complain that's really monotonous, it is overwhelming, it is troublesome, but all your complaints would go away when you learn more about modifiers. So let's get started. Like you can see on the screen, these are the major concepts which are very frequently tested in almost all the competitive exams. So the concepts are of subject verb agreement, tenses, modifiers, parallelism, comparisons, pronoun ambiguity, idioms, phrases, and then there are some common errors or general errors which we call miscellaneous errors. So while you're preparing, please ensure that you touch base on all these fundamental concepts. So today, out of the entire list, we are talking about modifiers. So when we talk about that, what should be the expectation from the correct answer if you have multiple answer choices provided in front of you, then the first thing that's important for you to understand is that the correct answer choice is going to rectify the existing error, and there is no new error that's going to be introduced, right? So the correct answer will rectify the error. So the major error which is seen in the sentence, that will get sorted. And then at times what happens is that, say, the problem is with modifiers, that gets sorted, and then in the later part a new error of tenses is introduced. So that should not happen. It should rectify the existing error. It should not introduce any new error. Then it should not change the intended meaning of the sentence. So at times you'll find many of the answer choices which are completely fine in terms of technicality, in terms of the application of grammar, but when it comes to the meaning, it is different from what the original idea was. So please understand that the intended meaning of the sentence should remain unchanged. If in any of the answer choice you're finding that the sentence is grammatically correct but the meaning changes, then that particular answer choice we are not going to entertain, right? Further, let's come to the next point, next expectation of the correct answer, that there should be no redundancy or repetition of information. So what is redundancy? Information being repeated, right? So we would not want any redundancy in our content. And then it is important that if you have two answer choices, you are going to pick the one which is able to convey the idea in fewer words. But please ensure that while you are deciding for the correct answers, the order of decision should remain intact. First, your answer choice should be grammatically correct. Second, it should be precise. And third, it should be concise. So you're not going to change the order. By changing the order, I mean that you're picking up an answer choice which is basically concise, but it is not fitting in the expectation of grammar rules or consistency. That's something we are not going to appreciate. We are not going to entertain. So first, grammatically correct, then precise, and third, it should be the concise one, right? So I hope you are going to apply this strategy. This remains applicable to all the grammar based questions. So whenever you're doing MCQs, please keep these pointers in mind. That's really going to benefit you while you solve the various types of questions. So let's further move. Uh, so how do we apply the strategic approach to solve the questions once we are clear with what is the expectation of the correct answer? First is read the sentence to look for the error. So specifically, if you talk about modifiers also or any particular question type, first look that, what is the error that you can easily trace. So if verbs are underlined, check whether is this a problem of subject verb agreement. If subject verb agreement problem is not sorted, then move to tenses, right? So if verbs are underlined, usually the question might be based on subject verb agreement concept or on the concept of tenses. If you see pronouns underlined, then usually the sentence might be either on noun pronoun agreement, pronoun usage, or pronoun ambiguity. If you're able to see any conjunction underlined, it can be a question of parallel structure. And if you see any sentence starting with a phrase, then most of the times it is a question based on misplaced modifiers. So we are going to learn a lot about misplaced modifiers in today's class, right? So these are few clues that you can utilize so that you get better clarity and better judgment, and you know what are the errors you should look for. So in the initial sentence, if you're able to identify the error, most of the times the first answer choice that you get is the repetition of the underlying portion, so you can eliminate that particular answer choice. Also, it is suggested that you eliminate the other answer choices which repeat the error, right? So eliminate the answer choices where you can see the similar error being repeated. Now you're left with other answer choices. So for another answer choices, please look for a new error or see if the meaning is getting changed or if there is redundancy. Keep on repeating the steps till you reach to the right answer. This entire process is called the process of elimination. So I strongly believe that you will get amazingly good results in verbal if you are understanding the principle of elimination. So never try to pick the right answer. Usually we have this approach, because that's what we do in quant, that you'll do a calculation. Suppose you solve it and you get an answer of 45, and that's there in C option, you'll mark it and then you'll move to the next question. However, in verbal, I strongly recommend that you should be very sure about why the other three cannot be the correct answer choices instead of picking up one right answer. So eliminate the other three, whatever remains shall serve as the right answer. So please mark this and try to start learning the application of this particular concept, where we are not marking the answer choices based on selection, but we are reaching to the correct answer based on elimination, right? So this is a major strategy to approach the questions. Please do apply it and you will see some great results coming your way. So now we are going to start with the concept of modifiers. What are modifiers? These are very interesting, there's a lot of interesting terminology associated with modifiers. But before that, we are going to spend adequate time in learning what are adjectives and adverbs, and how are we going to use the concept of adjectives and adverbs to create the concept of modifiers. We'll slowly explore in this video itself. I hope you're not tired. In case you are, quickly take a deep breath and you'll feel more participative in the session. So let's get started. Now, when we talk about adjectives, you have studied this concept in your junior classes. This is nothing that comes entirely and exceptionally new to you. So adjectives are used to describe or modify nouns, right? So इन हिंदी वी कॉल देम विशेषण. संज्ञा या सर्वनाम की विशेषता बताने वाले शब्दों को आप विशेषण कहते हैं, राइट? दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल इन एडजेक्टिव्स इन इंग्लिश. They provide more description to the nouns. Say if for instance I give this example, hungry boy. So are you able to understand that in this case there is this hungry, which is what hungry is an adjective to boy. So hungry is explaining how the boy is. Or beautiful is an adjective to flowers. Or for French doors, French is an adjective to doors. Or for old lady, old is an adjective to lady. So I'll mark these words for you. Hungry in this, beautiful, French, and old. All these are adjectives in nature, right? And what do adjectives do? Adjectives tell us about the quality of a noun or a pronoun, right? So I'm sure you're clear with the concept. Let's further proceed. Now, usually adjectives come before the noun they modify. So modify means they tend to explain, right, or define. If you are placing more than one adjective, so it's just not always necessary that one adjective will do justice for the process of defining that particular noun. So you might need to use multiple adjectives to do the work for you. In this case, please separate both the adjectives using a simple comma. Like you'll see this particular sentence which is there on the screen. The giant green monster chased the tiny frightened mammals. So are you able to see that giant and green? These are two adjectives and they're separated with the help of a comma. And here also tiny and frightened, these are two adjectives and they're separated with the help of comma, right? So giant and green helps to explain how the monster is, right? And tiny and frightened explains mammals, right? So I'm sure you're clear with the example. Let's move further. Now, if you're clear with the concept of adjectives, let's try and learn what are adverbs. So when we talk about adverbs, adverbs are the words that are used to describe a verb or an adverb or an adjective. You must have learned this definition half-hearted, or what would immediately strike as it is reflected from the term itself, that adverbs are used to describe verbs, because adverbs के साथ verbs go well. But this is something that you need to improve with respect to the definition of adverbs, that these are used to describe or modify verbs, adverbs and adjectives, right? So there is a very important test associated with identifying adverbs. So you need to ask the question how, right? So if you take a look at this sentence, adverbs help us answer the question how. She runs quickly, so how would you say how is she running? Your answer will be quickly. Right now, if I say she runs very quickly, I say how quickly is she running? You are going to say, ma'am, she's running very quickly. Right now, if I say she's a very pretty girl, so in this case I'll say how pretty, so you're going to say, ma'am, very pretty, right? So you can see these three different sentences. So how are we going to do? She runs quickly, so in this case she is the pronoun, or you can also say that this is a subject. So pronoun is acting as the subject in the statement, right? So I hope there is no doubt here. And runs is the action word, so this is the verb here, right? Now, quickly is an adverb. So if you will see, I'll say that quickly is an adverb that is explaining the action. So here, adverb quickly is an adverb that describes the verb. And what is the verb in this case? Runs. So everybody, please take a look at the example again. Just think on it and ponder it for a while and see whether you are able to absorb it, and then we are going to further proceed. So everybody, please take a look at the first sentence which we have just discussed, and absorb the information and see whether you are comfortable, because I know grammar is slightly intimidating, so we'll give you quick pauses in between so that you can sink in the detail, and then we'll move to the next example. So please take a quick look at the sentence that we have just discussed, and then we are going to move to the next one. Great. So I hope you're clear with the understanding. Let's move to the next sentence. She runs very quickly. So in this case, like the previous one, she is the pronoun or she is the subject, right? So this is the pronoun. And like we know, pronouns or nouns can be used as the subject in the statement. So she is the subject in this case. Now runs is the singular verb, because our subject is singular, so verb is also going to be singular. So we are anyways revising subject verb agreement here also. And quickly, as we had already decided, is an adverb, right? So very is an adverb that is defining another adverb. So this is another usage. An adverb can qualify a verb. An adverb can also qualify another adverb, right? So if I'll say how quickly, you're going to say, ma'am, very quickly. So very is an adverb that is describing another adverb quickly, and quickly is an adverb that is defining runs, right? Are we clear with this example, everybody? Please now read both the sentences to understand the difference, right? So you will get better understanding. In the previous one, quickly is an adverb for runs. In the second statement, quickly is still an adverb for runs, but very is an adverb for quickly. So please do it, and then we are going to learn the third usage. Great. So let's see the third example. She's a very pretty girl. So if you're going to understand, as we have just discussed, that what is an adjective, then pretty is an adjective to girl, right? So everybody, I hope you're able to understand that pretty is an adjective to this noun girl, right? Now when we talk about very, very is what? Very is an adverb to the adjective, right? So how pretty? Very pretty. So if you will take a look at the three sentences, in the first sentence, quickly is an adverb which is, qualifying a verb. In the second one, very is an adverb that's qualifying another adverb. And in the third sentence, very is an adverb that's qualifying an adjective pretty, right? So I hope you are clear with the understanding of what adverbs do, right? So see, at times we have very limited knowledge, so that doesn't really go far. So I always say that it is not really important to know everything. Yes, but you should know everything that is needed to crack the exam. So that judgment comes when you take professional help, right? So I'm sure you're clear with the understanding of what adjectives and adverbs are. Quickly revise the adverbs on the slide. I'll give you quick 40 seconds, and then we are going to change the slide and further explore more about the concept of modifiers. Everybody, please start doing it. Great. So let's further explore. Now we know about adjectives, we know about adverbs. So let's try and understand that what are modifiers. So if I simply try to relate the concept of modifiers with adjectives and adverbs, just listen to me carefully. A word or group of words, if it functions like adjective or adverbs, you call them modifiers. Right now, I am sure you're able to relate that why in a modifiers class I was teaching you adjectives and adverbs, right? So, modifiers are words, phrases, or clauses that offer description to the sentence, right? That give more detailed information or description regarding the word. It can be a singular word, or it can be group of words, or it can be, a clause. So a modifier is right, usually right around the word it tends to modify or explain. It's very near, it is just adjacent to the word it logically describes. So let's take some examples to help the concept, to help learn the concept better. Take a look at this. Gazing out the window, Ross missed the homework. So, in this case, if you will take a look at this particular phrase, gazing out the window. So, this is touching Ross. So, it is tending to explain that, see, boss, Ross is gazing out the window. So, this is a modifier for us, right? So, this is explaining that what Ross is doing, Ross is gazing out of the window. And like the last statement in the previous slide said, that the placement of the modifier would be next to the word it tends to modify, right? Let's take a look at the next sentence. Invented by Edison, the bulb brought light in lives of people. So if you're going to see invented by Edison, this is the modifier. So again, I'll write it for you. This is a modifier and this is touching the bulb. So what was invented by Edison? The bulb. Are you able to see the modifier is placed right next to the word it is tending to modify or explain, right? So I'm sure you're clear with the concept of modifiers. Let's further proceed. Now, it's a most interesting term, and which is something that we need to learn, remember, and retain. That's the concept of misplaced modifiers. So, there are two terms to this, concept type. One is misplaced, and another is modifiers. So, what is the role of modifier? Like I said, any word or group of words, be it phrase or clause, that tends to explain or add description, you call it a modifier. And usually, modifiers are placed right next to the word they tend to explain or describe, right? Now, also, I did explain you that modifiers can be said as a single word or group of words. If they are functioning like adjectives or adverbs, you call them modifiers, right? So now we are going to learn about the errors that are tested. Ultimately, see, knowing the terminology and definitions is fruitful, though I always try this, that uh, the content should be filtered in such a way that it reaches to the audience, that is, the content is useful. It's not something that they have to filter on their own and find out that what is going to work for them and what's not going to work for them, because it's again a very time consuming activity. And not only time consuming, it requires a lot of effort and practice, and we have limited time, right? Most of us might be, in our schools or colleges, or might be working professionals. We are already, involved at 10 different places. So if somebody pushes us and tells us that, boss, you need need to spare extra 3 to 5 hours to just scrutinize the content that you need to learn, which is going to be useful, then we are not utilizing our time properly. We are not putting our effort in the right direction. So in order to be successful in the exam, I usually tell it to my students. I tell to all my students there are few important things that you need to retain. One, that consistency is the key. Work regularly, and small steps on everyday basis would help you reach to your destination. This is one important thing. Second, ensure effort. That's very important. And ensure effort in the right direction. That's all the more important, because at times we see students are really working hard and they're putting their heart and soul, but despite studying for 5 to 10 hours, they're not getting the success as they wanted. Or despite a lot of practice, the results are not improving. So see, there can be two reasons why the results are not improving. Either you're not making an effort, right, which is something that we should be really worried about, and the second is either the effort is not in the right direction. So that is the reason we always say that take professional help, and ensure if you're able to do it yourself, and you're able to see the improvements. The best check would be if you're putting an effort and you're confident that your effort is going right, then your results in the mocks should improve. If it's not happening, then it is a clear indicator that somewhere we are faltering in our strategy, in our technique, in our approach. And how do we get better here? That we need to explore and learn, right? Until and unless we learn this, then we are going to be in serious trouble, and we are going to be in a vicious circle. We're putting an effort, giving a mock, not improving, putting an effort, giving a mock, not improving. So we would not want that. We would want to break out of the shell, and you would want to really get better every passing day, right? How would that happen? When you ensure that your strategies, your techniques, it's just not knowing about the concept, it's also knowing exam taking strategies. A lot of students who will be, you must be knowing, right? There's so many people around us. You must be thinking that, oh, this guy is so good in the fundamentals of maths, or this guy is so good in verbal. Was he not able to crack the exam, or what went wrong? It's probably that test taking strategy is another important aspect. So it's just not the exam of having the right information. It's also about having the right attitude and approach, right? So keep this in mind. We are at times not clear with what is the agenda of the exam, what is tested in the exam. So you must be thinking critically that if somebody wants to take you in his or her college, or would want you to be a PhD scholar in the college, or maybe want you to be a banker, or you would want to be a civil servant, what are they going to do to check you that how well you are able to solve a question based on percentage, or profit and loss, or time, speed and distance, or how well you're able to understand the concept of modifiers, right? Just take a look, just take a deep breath and think about it, right? So the idea is to test you on logic. So logic can be derived only by two ways. Either it can be derived by numbers, or it can be derived by words. So for words, they have verbal, and for numbers, you have your quant section, DI section. So that is the reason we should be very clear that what is the goal of the exam, what is the exam testing us on, right? Once you will have that fundamental clarity, you will see that you will become more rational in your endeavors, and that's what is needed. So we see all the students of my students who have done exceptionally well in the exam had the right approach, right? They had the right consistency, and they were taking the test taking strategies also. They were working on those particular aspects also. So this is an important advice for you. Please follow the advice, and you'll see there's a remarkable improvement that's happening, right? So let's quickly come back to the concept, right? I have this habit to usually do a quick prep talk, so that we are sorted and we know that where we are up to. So let's come to this concept of misplaced modifiers. So this is this term misplaced, right? So miss is one word and place, so the placement is not rightly done. And modifiers we've already talked about. So like the name itself is giving you some understanding, let's explore more about it. So sometimes a writer places the modifier too away or too far from the word it tends to modify. So the word is not near to the term it is tending to explain. So that's where the placement of modifier is not right, and hence the term comes into picture, misplaced modifier. Too technical, let's explore one sentence. So read the sentence. She read from her new book wearing glasses. So I'll mark the modifier for you. So wearing glasses is the modifier. Where is it? Where is this modifier? This modifier is right next to the word book. Can book wear glasses? Have you seen any book wearing glasses? No, right? So this is a modifier. This is not rightly placed. If you take a look at the sentence, you will understand that was wearing glasses would be this she, right? So the modifier should be next to the word it is tending to modify, as we just learned. So how would you correct it? You'll pick this modifier and place it near the word it tends to explain. So like you can see the sorted statement, wearing her glasses she read from her book. So that's how you modify the error of misplaced modifiers. You place the modifying term right next to the phrase or the word it tends to modify. So quickly take a relook at the entire slide. The concept is new for most of us, so you might be having you know might be feeling a little little uncomfortable. So just take a look again and you'll be sorted, and then we are going to further proceed. Great, great. So I'm sure you're clear with the concept. Now, like I said, this is very important. So if you're penning down, if you're making notes, please just write down this. This is important. So I usually, I'm not a great supporter or that you should write the rules, but you should do some scratch paperwork that keeps you more involved. So you can filter while you are in the strategy sessions, or while you are learning the concepts, at what is the information that's most needed. So how would you rectify the misplaced modifiers? You have to just simply pen it down somewhere. So whenever you are just write 10 to 20 rules. Once you will complete the entire series of grammar, you will find that there are 10 to 20 rules that you would want to retain, right? Or that might just create mess for you, and just have the list ready. And whenever you are attempting the questions, or whenever you're going for a mock, ensure that you take a glance at that particular list. It should be handy. At times what we do is we make detailed notes. उस डिटेल नोट में आपको स्क्रूटनाइज करना पड़ता है, आपको चार रूल तो लगेंगे कि भाई ये तो मुझे आता ही है। तो आप वो मत लिखो जिसके बारे में आप बहुत श्योर हो, या जो आप नहीं भूले हो, या जो आपको याद है, या आपको पता है इस पर क्वेश्चन ही नहीं आएगा, राइट? जैसे मैंने आपको नहीं कहा एडजेक्टिव और एडवर्ब लिखो, क्योंकि कोई सवाल ही नहीं आएगा, राइट? वो तो मॉडिफायर तक पहुंचने का एक रास्ता था, बट दिस आई एम आस्किंग यू टू राइट, बिकॉज देन यू विल गेट अ क्वेश्चन बेस्ड ऑन मॉडिफायर, एंड देन ओनली यू विल बी एबल टू sort it once you know the right approach and the right strategy. So what do you do is you quickly write this, how to fix the error of misplaced modifiers. Everybody please do that, and then we'll learn and discover and explore more about the concept. Okay, so locate the modifier next to the appropriate word. So what are you going to do? You are going to read the sentence, and you're going to understand that what is the logical interpretation, what should be correct, right? Just don't read the sentence and say, yes, that makes sense. See whether the modifier is right next to the word, because it is making sense to you doesn't always mean that the placement of modifier is correct. So locate the word the modifier is tending to explain, and just ensure that the placement of the modifier is changed and done accordingly, so that it is right next to the word it tends to modify. Let's take one more example. The farmer wanted to hire someone to take care of his horse who does not smoke or drink. So I will take a I will mark the modifier. So this is something which I've marked is basically the modifier. So if you'll take a look at this, you'll see farmer wanted to hire someone to take care of his horse who doesn't smoke or drink. तो ये who doesn't smoke or drink तो घोड़े को point out कर रहा है. तो घोड़ा तो हम नहीं चाहते जो स्मोक और ड्रिंक करे राइट, हम तो चाहते हैं कि जिसको हायर कर रहा है वो स्मोक या ड्रिंक ना करे, राइट। तो इंटरप्रिटेशन सेंटेंस का ये क्लियरली हमें समझ में आ रहा है कि द फार्मर इज इंटरेस्टेड टू हायर समबडी हु डजंट स्मोक और ड्रिंक टू टेक केयर ऑफ द हॉर्स, राइट। अब हु डजंट स्मोक और ड्रिंक मॉडिफायर है, ये किसके पास है, हॉर्स के पास। तो ये आइडिया क्या कन्वे करता है कि हॉर्स स्मोक और ड्रिंक ना करे, उसको हायर करना चाहता है अपने उस घोड़े के लिए जो स्मोक और ड्रिंक नहीं करता। फिर तो जिसको हायर करेगा वो भी क्या ध्यान रखेगा, राइट। जोक्स अपार्ट, सो लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, मॉडिफायर्स बहुत fun driven questions होते हैं and you're really going to enjoy them if you know learn the concept। तो उसको कैसे रेक्टिफाई करें, बस आप मॉडिफायर को राइट नेक्स्ट टू द वर्ड रख दीजिए जिसको आप एक मॉडिफायर जिसको एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं। लाइक टेक अ लुक एट द सेंटेंस, द रेक्टिफाइड वन, द सॉर्टेड वन। The farmer wanted to hire someone who doesn't smoke or drink to take care of his horse। So if you are going to see, हमने क्या किया, हु डजंट ड्रिंक और स्मोक हमें पता था, उसके लिए यूज करना चाह रहे हैं जिसको वो हायर करेगा, राइट, टू टेक केयर ऑफ हिज हॉर्स। तो हमने ये मॉडिफायर यहाँ से हटा के समवन के पास रख दिया, राइट। तो आपका इंटेंटेड मीनिंग सॉर्ट आउट हो गया, क्लैरिटी आ गई, एरर रेक्टिफाई हो गया। सो दिस इज अ सिंपल वे टू सॉर्ट आउट द misplaced modifiers, right? I hope you're sorted with the concept. Now let's further कम टू द नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट। तो जैसे एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है मॉडिफायर्स का मिसप्लेस मॉडिफायर, एक और कॉन्सेप्ट होता है जिसको हम बोलते हैं डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर्स। तो डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर्स क्या होते हैं ये अभी हम एक्सप्लोर करेंगे, ठीक है। चलिए देखिए क्या होते हैं डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर्स। डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर का मतलब है कि आपके सेंटेंस में मॉडिफायर तो है पर वो वर्ड नहीं है जिसको मॉडिफायर एक्सप्लेन करना चाहता है। तो बड़ी स्ट्रेंज सी बात हो गई ना, मतलब मॉडिफायर है पर वो टर्म नहीं है जिसको मॉडिफायर एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है। तो फिर इम्प्लाइड मीनिंग पे तो आप काम कर नहीं सकते बिकॉज यू नीड एक्चुअली द वर्ड सो दैट वी नो व्हाट इज द मॉडिफायर टेंडिंग टू एक्सप्लेन, राइट। यू फाइंडिंग इट टू too driven by the terminology. So let's see one example, you will be more sorted. So let's take a look at the first example which is there on the screen. While sleeping the phone rang. So let me tell you that what is the modifier. A modifier है while sleeping। अब फोन तो नहीं सो सकता, राइट। और कहीं सेंटेंस अगर इतना सा है तो आप इसको रेक्टिफाई भी कैसे करोगे, कहीं प्लेसमेंट ही प्रॉपर नहीं है। फोन सो नहीं सकता और कोई सब्जेक्ट ही नहीं है सेंटेंस का जिससे हमें पता चल जाए कि सो कौन रहा था। तो हम क्या करते हैं, हम एक नाउन को इंट्रोड्यूस कर देते हैं या प्रोनाउन को इंट्रोड्यूस कर देते हैं या एक सब्जेक्ट को इंट्रोड्यूस कर देते हैं जिससे ये क्लैरिटी मिल जाए कि सो कौन रहा था। तो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने यहाँ पर डाल दिया while I was sleeping the phone rang, राइट। या शी वॉज स्लीपिंग कर सकते थे या टॉम वॉज स्लीपिंग कर सकते थे या जेरी वॉज स्लीपिंग कर सकते या दे वर स्लीपिंग, कुछ भी। तो हुआ क्या कि यहाँ से ये सेंटेंस अपने आप में कंप्लीट हो गया और क्लैरिटी दे गया कि सो कौन रहा था। तो लेटर पार्ट से डिपेंडेंसी हट गई, यानी कि आपका डैंगलिंग एरर वाला मॉडिफायर, डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर वाला एरर सॉर्ट आउट हो गया, रेक्टिफाई हो गया। एक बार खुद से पढ़ के देखिए सो दैट वी कैन बी कंफर्टेबल इन द कॉन्सेप्ट एंड देन वी आर गोइंग टू पिक सम मोर एग्जांपल्स। Great. So I hope you have absorbed the concept and you're comfortable. Time to further proceed with the discussion. So, like I said, to note more about dangling modifier, ये भी note कर लीजिएगा how to fix the error for dangling modifier. So introduce the subject in the sentence to get clarity what the modifier intends to modify. Like let's take a look at this sentence. One more example. Reading a book by the window, my cat jumped on my lap. So इसके हिसाब से तो cat was reading the book, right? तो वो तो नहीं हो सकता। हमने क्या किया, while I was reading a book by the window, या इस क्योंकि my है तो I would be the most appropriate way to sort this out. While I was reading a book by the window, my cat jumped onto my lap. So हमने क्या किया, यहाँ पर इस पोर्शन को इम्प्रूव कर दिया, जिससे डैंगलिंग मॉडिफायर का एरर रेक्टिफाई हो गया. Right? Isn't it so interesting and yet so simple? Right? So what are we going to do? We are quickly going to note this rule also so that we have good clarity, and then we are going to solve some questions. So everybody please note it down before we proceed further. Great. So let's explore some questions. Right. So it's a quick quiz. So there are five sentences which you can see on the screen. Right. So, like, we have just done the concept of modifiers. Take your time and quickly. So there are five sentences. I'll give you 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes and try to sort these questions. Either the error will be of misplaced modifiers or the error would be of dangling modifiers, right? So please take how much time? 5 minutes, and try to sort out the errors, and then we are going to discuss. So quickly start doing it. You know the rules, you have just learned the concept, and the concept is fresh in your mind. So I always say that the moment you learn theory, it is the time right there and then to learn the application, right? So it becomes easy for you. And in case you're going to find any difficulty, struggle, don't worry, we will discuss all these statements. Please concentrate, learn the, the rules, you have noted them, right? So you are aware, you are you know you're more comfortable. So just apply the rules. There's nothing which is beyond you. The questions are very easy. Just try to interpret it logically, check where is the modifier, and see how are you going to sort this. You must be really enjoying the sentences, right? There's so much fun, going through these sentences. They're so interesting. Take another 1 minute and then we will start with the discussion. Okay, so let's get started. So at the age of 8, my family finally bought a dog. So if you'll see, this is the modifier, right? Usually in the modifier questions, the phrase is right in the beginning. So this touches the family. Can the age of the family be 8? No, right? So you have to see that what can be the right subject it tends to modify. डॉग की एज नहीं हो सकती क्योंकि फाइनली डॉग को लिया था सो व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस वी आर गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस द सब्जेक्ट while I was at the age of 8 my family finally brought a dog तो कुछ नहीं किया हमने एक सब्जेक्ट ले लिया या while I was की जगह आप ये कह सकते थे while my sister was at the age of 8 right so any subject that you introduce तो हमें पता चल गया who is at the age of 8 so that's how we sort the error. So let's move to the second sentence. Walking down Main Street, the trees were beautiful. So if you will see, who was walking down the main street? Trees तो walk down नहीं कर सकते ना, तो हमें यहाँ पर भी एक subject को introduce करना पड़ेगा. So while I was walking down Main Street. The trees were beautiful. So, this is actually a phrase which we have converted into a clause, right? So, now this is able to convey the idea. It has got its own subject, it has got its own verb. So, the meaning is clear and hence your error gets sorted, right? Let's move at the third statement. Being in a neglected condition, I was able to buy the house very cheaply. So, बीइंग इन द नेग्लेक्टेड कंडीशन आए तो नहीं है क्या है हाउस नेग्लेक्टेड कंडीशन में था इसलिए मैंने उसको चीपली खरीद लिया सो हम इसको कैसे रेक्टिफाई कर सकते हैं बीइंग इन अ नेग्लेक्टेड कंडीशन जो मॉडिफायर है वो हाउस को टच करना चाहिए राइट तो सेंटेंस को आप रीफ्रेम कर सकते हो इन अ वे दैट बीइंग इन अ नेग्लेक्टेड कंडीशन टचेस द हाउस like I was able to buy the house in the neglected condition very cheaply right coming to the fourth statement, running from the bus, the rain started coming down in buckets and I got all wet. So, rain started coming down in buckets means it was raining very heavily. So, who was running for the bus? Obviously, I. So, you can say, ensure that running for the bus and I come together, right? So, running for the bus, I got all wet as the rain started coming down in buckets, right? So place here I and remodify the rest of the sentence. So take a look at the fifth statement. Having searched and searched for Mr. Right, it started to seem like he did not exist. So, who is searching for Mr. Right? The sentence is not getting giving us clarity. So, uh, you can just introduce a subject while X searched and searched for Mr. Right, it started to seem like he did not exist. Right? So I hope we are clear with all these examples. Aren't they so much fun? It's so interesting. It's so easy. Right? Modifiers remain to be the easiest concept which comes in error detection questions. And this is, yes, you get a lot of questions also based on it. So let's move to the next set. Again, I'll give you 2-3 minutes to just walk through the sentence, become comfortable, and then we are going to start the discussion. So let's start the discussion. Rolling down the mountain, the explorer stopped the boulder with his powerful foot. So, explorer was not rolling down the mountain; the boulder was. So, how are you going to sort the sentence out? This is a clear example of misplaced modifier. So, explorer stopped the boulder which was rolling down the mountain with his powerful foot. Right? So, I hope it is clear. So, bring rolling down the mountain near to the boulder. As simple as that. Come to the next sentence. We are looking for a babysitter for a precious 6-year-old who doesn't drink or smoke and owns a car. No, no, the 6-year-old doesn't drink or smoke or owns a car. We want a babysitter to do so. So, what are we going to do? We are going to rectify it like this. We are looking for a babysitter who does not drink or smoke and owns a car for our precious 6 years old. So, what are we doing? This is the entire modifier and we are placing it here just after babysitter, right? Isn't it very simple? There's no rocket science here, dear students. The teacher served cookies to the children wrapped in aluminum foil. So, wrapped in aluminum foil. The sentence is saying children were wrapped in aluminum foil. No, not children, but cookies were wrapped, right? So, what are we going to do? We are going to place this wrapped in aluminum foil with cookies. The teacher served cookies wrapped in aluminum foil to the children. So, you're just placing the modifier right next to the word it tends to modify, right? So it's easy, it's simple, it's very logical, and if you'll practice you'll get acquainted. So let's take a look at the next statement. The mysterious woman walked down the car holding an umbrella. So the car was not holding the umbrella, the woman was holding the umbrella. So the mysterious woman holding an umbrella walked towards the car. So this is the modifier. Just pick it from here and bring it near to the woman and your sentence is sorted. Take a look at the next sentence. Wagging her tail, I held the puppy in my lap. So I was not wagging the tail, the puppy was. I held the puppy wagging her tail in my lap. So this is a modifier and you'll just place it near puppy. So we have done a lot of questions for misplaced modifiers. Like usually this set had the modifier questions, misplaced modifier ones, and the previous one we usually giving and inserting a subject. So those were of dangling modifiers. I hope you really enjoyed solving the questions. It's time to take a look and do what is that we have a sentence in front of you and you need to see how are you going to rectify it. So we have the clues going like this, right? So just see, uh, this is how the underlined portion is there. I will just start marking from here and till here. So this is underlined, this is the modifier. See how do you rectify it. The strategy to solve the MCQs was discussed in detail. I'll give you 1 minute. Quickly try solving this. Explore A and B and then I'm going to, further proceed and you can see the rest of the options. These questions are simple. It's just that we are now exploring the question in the form of MCQs because those type of questions you'll get to solve. Now we are clear with the fundamentals. We have done some basic practice. So now you can get started to solve some MCQs. I'll just quickly change the slide if you would want to explore C and D options. So let's come here. Though covered in about 10 inches of thick snow. So this is the modifier. Now what it is, touching aviation officials. So that's not what the sentence wants to say. So let's read the sentence and understand what's the sentence trying to communicate. Though covered in about 10 inches of thick snow, aviation officials said that the condition on runway at the time of the emergency landing was acceptable. So here what is happening is that the runway was covered with 10 inches of snow, right? Not the officials. So they're saying that though the runway was covered with 10 inches of snow, it was still, ready to be, the conditions of the runway were acceptable in case there is any emergency landing, right? So we have come to know that though covered in 10 inches of thick snow is referring to the runway, right? So that is the reason this choice goes out, because it is not referring to aviation officials. So this is clearly a modifier of misplaced, an error of misplaced modifiers. So this choice can get eliminated. Now see here, runway is here, but runway conditions की बात नहीं हो रही, runway की बात हो रही है. तो ये एक बड़ी कॉमन ट्रैप आंसर चॉइस है जो स्टूडेंट्स इजिली जहां पर फंस जाते हैं. सो प्लीज डोंट डू दैट. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रनवे एंड नॉट द रनवे कंडीशंस. द रनवे वाज कवर्ड, रनवे कंडीशंस कैसे कवर हो सकती है, राइट? आई होप आई मेक सेंस टू यू. सो दैट इज द रीजन वी आर गोइंग टू एलिमिनेट बी. आई एम अगेन सेइंग दैट द रनवे वुड बी कवर्ड विद 10 inches of thick snow. कंडीशंस नहीं कवर हो सकती, राइट? सो टेक अ लुक एट द थर्ड वन. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू एविएशन ऑफिशियल्स रनवे वॉज, तो यहाँ पर तो क्या हुआ, रेपिटेशन ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन आ जाएगी. सो ये भी बहुत इजीली एलिमिनेट हो गया. दैट इज द यूज यूटिलिटी and that's the trick of process of elimination, that you keep on eliminating the incorrect answer choices. Whatever remains shall serve as the right answer. So D would be the correct answer for you, right? I hope it is clear to everybody. So let's do the next question. Let's try it. Though here you can see that this is the modifier and that's the rest of the statement, and see how you are going to rectify it. I'll change the slide so that you can explore rest of the three options. I hope you have attempted. So let's try solving this together. Found in the wild only in Australia and New Guinea, powerful back legs with long feet distinguish kangaroos from other mammals. So powerful back legs are not found in wild, but kangaroos are, right? So see, if you are going to logically try and read the sentence, you are going to solve it there and then. So powerful back legs is not as what is found in Australia. Powerful back legs kangaroos के होते हैं with long feet that distinguish them from other mammals, right? पर हम बात ऑस्ट्रेलिया में कौन पाए जाते हैं, kangaroos पाए जाते हैं. तो ये यहाँ पर आपके kangaroos आना चाहिए, right? So here we need kangaroos. So that is the reason A can get eliminated. Take a look at the other options. So powerful back legs with long feet, again the same error. तो ये भी एलिमिनेट हो गया. यहाँ भी स्टेटमेंट को रीट्विस्ट करके प्रेजेंट किया, यहीं पर आपका एरर देयर एंड देन सॉर्ट आउट हो जाएगा. सो वी already identified that we would want kangaroos coming after the modifier, and that's where we solve the question, right? So we'll do one more question before we call it a day. So let's try this. Responding to the growing demand for five-hand vehicles. So from here the underline portion gets started, or till here rather. Just quickly try it and we will start with the discussion. So see this, Responding to growing demand for high-end vehicles. Who's going to respond? Some people are going to respond. Interiors can't respond, right? So this is a major error, right? So interiors of the newest models are so luxurious that they sell for nearly twice the price of last year models. This is a dangling modifier. That means we need to insert a subject that who was responding to growing demands for high-end vehicles, right? So company or people are going to do it. So A choice gets eliminated. Previously considered to have been extent. Okay, so we are coming to this. So here we need to basically insert a subject here that the company demanded for it. So I think there's a mess up here, I think, in the answer choices, but never mind. I hope we are clear with the concept. So thank you so much for your wonderful participation. Keep working hard. All the best. Take good care of yourself. Bye bye.